All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Forge. I'm DML, and today we're going to do a bit of testing of the Ginunting. All right. So if you haven't seen the unboxing and initial impressions and measurements and everything of this, it's I did that video earlier. Go back and see that. I'll chuck the link in the description to this one, so you can go do that. Alright, so before I get started, I just want to say that I've read everywhere on the internet that these are both a weapon and a tool. These are issued to the Filipino Marines, and they use it kind of similar to like a sword. But everyone also mentions their capabilities as a woods tool to collect firewood and such. So that's why I was interested in one of these. You know, something that can be used as in a utility fashion is always going to interest me, and that's what I'm interested in with this. So it's not as thick, it's not as thin as a machete, and it's not as thick as a kukri, but it has a recurve and a comfortable handle, and it's you know, it's relatively lightweight. So with this in mind, I believe it should operate similar, sort of somewhere between a kukri and a machete, capabilities wise. The only thing that I think that would really sort of detract from that function would be this this grind. So from the top of the bevel back towards the spine, there's a very slight sort of hollow grind to it, which is fine. And then from the primary bevel forward, it's kind of a hollow grind followed by like a convex final cutting edge. I believe that if I were to change that hollow grind into more of a flat grind, that would make it a little more efficient at chopping woods rather than applications as a weapon. The convex is also quite obtuse. This convex final cutting edge, that would be, I imagine, for blade to blade contact in fighting, which if you know me and you know my channel, the chances of that happening are bugger all and none for me. And even if it were to go edge to edge with something, it would more likely be something like a machete that it would have to go to edge with. So a high convex from this bevel, or a flat grind and then a convex for the final cutting edge, would be ideal for me. Anyway, enough of that. Now that we've spoken about the philosophy of use of these, we're going to do this chopping, okay? Unlike a kukri, where you would chop, like your point of percussion would sort of be almost halfway up the blade rather than at the very end, with this, it's more closer to a machete or a sword, where your point of percussion is intended to be up here in this final section of the blade. Anything behind that is bad news for these blades. So the way that they're tempered and quenched and everything, if you were to hit it up here, about halfway up, like you would a kukri, and do your heavy chopping, you'd probably bend it. And these don't flex and then return straight. They bend and they set, similar to like a katana, but it is relatively hard to get them to do that. My intent is that if I design one, I'm going to design multiple versions of this. So I'll have, for those of you that would rather a martial, like a modern martial arts weapon, I'll keep the blade geometry and everything exactly like this, same quench, same everything, just with my sort of modern styling to it. Maybe a reinforcement of the tang, because this tang only comes back to here and has a pin in it. I'd go all the way through. For my version, the utility version, you're talking, you know, sort of spring tempering. This one's 1095. I don't know if I'd be using 1095 for the utility version. Might use 5160 or 80 CRV2, something like that. All right, so these blades were never intended to do heavy chopping either. My version might be capable of that, we'll see, but you'd be talking nothing larger than this sort of thing. So you'll notice I'm cutting everything up here. And similar to a machete, these are all about tip speed. And bear in mind as well that my technique with this is very rudimentary. I'm still learning how to use one of these. So if I mess this up, just know, I know. All right, now we're gonna go and we're gonna cut on this portion here. Now I don't want to be cutting too much lower than my center of gravity. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower myself a little bit and cut here. But I'm gonna twist myself this way, so if I deflect, I'm not gonna hit myself. So it may look a little awkward, but I have done this kind of thing before. Because some of the things some of the ways you use axes, you do this kind of technique as well. And it's cutting. See if I can get that chunk out. There we go. All right. So that's taken that branch off without too much troubles, and I wasn't putting much effort into that either. I'm trying to be gentle with it. Now I'm cutting low. This is not ideal, but when you're in the bush and you're cutting wood, you got to work it out, right? All right. That's scooped. That was me. Bad technique. All right, now we're in a thicker part. I'll cut this bit here off, and then we'll come up to this part here. Now, some would say that this is abuse at this size. I'm trying to see what I need to do to make this be able to easily do this kind of thing, as well as not detract from its primary functions, which, I mean, if you go have a look at the Filipino Marines, you'll figure out what that is pretty quickly. All right. There we go. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna use it like a kukri and do that. All right, so here's the real test. Once again, I'm gonna lower my center of gravity because I want to be cutting sort of up here really, but anyway, we're working with what we've got, right? And it's, how was I instructed? What was it? It was bring it out and drop the hammer, basically, as if you're hammering it. Wow, that did pretty good. And that shape, that sort of hollow grind and stuff, I think is why it's not, that's scooping, that's me. That's not doing bad. It's actually doing pretty good. It's scooping though. I think it's because I'm chopping it too much of an angle down, and that's why it's doing that. I need to start cutting it, angle the wood, and start cutting it more straight on. Yeah, that's better. Cool. There you go. So it's not too bad. It's just it does take a little bit of practice, I'm guessing. So for this size stuff, I wouldn't go much thicker than this with one of these. Not with this current configuration with the pin tang only coming halfway down and the geometry and quench type and everything it's got, because it's not this one was not made to do this. This was made as a yeah, okay. But these are the exact same ones that are issued to the Filipino Marines. this top edge has just been ground off for me. I'm impressed with that, actually. All right, we'll try something a little harder. See how it goes. See how it goes on some Australian gum. This stuff's hard wood, but at least it's long enough I can get a decent position going. All right, let's give that a go. Yeah, it'll take a bit of getting used to, won't it? Yeah, no worries, hey. Yep, I like that. One thing I didn't mention with the Ginunting in my introduction video was point of balance, which is quite important. So the point of balance on one of these bad boys is relatively high. It's about the same as what you'd find on a kukri. So if you can see that, it's about 1/3 of the way up the blade, or what would that be? That'd be about what, 5 inches forward of the guard. So I just thought I'd include that because, especially for martial artists, that is incredibly important to know where the point of balance is on these. Anyway, that'll do. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your continued interest in Sundog Forge, and I'll be back very shortly with another video. Cheers.